you about a hot trend called juuling. It's a discrete electronic device that can be charged up in a laptop. Some students even smoking this nicotine-packed e-juice in school just because of how discreet that it is.
Smokers are stomping out their cigarettes and picking up their vapes.
We see so many patients switching from traditional cigarettes to electronic cigarettes.
Vaping contains more chemicals than cigarettes.
It is not a safer option. We need pure air. That's all our lungs need.
It almost feels like vaping is at war with the mainstream media, as it seems like only the negative studies hit the spotlight where the positive studies get lost in the crowd.
It's safer, but it's not safe. What we don't know are what long-term effects will these lower level toxicants have.
Hi, my name is Kian and I work in a vape shop. I've been here for nearly a year. Over that time, I sort of noticed that more media companies are attacking vaping, saying it's bad and people shouldn't do it. And I want to try and understand why, when it has been proven it's 97% healthier than smoking traditional cigarettes. I want to interview people from the NHS to try and find out what research they've done. I also want to try and find out what goes into a bottle of liquid, because a lot of people are saying that there is a lot more harmful chemicals in a bottle of liquid than there is in a traditional cigarette. So I want to just try and sort of find out what is going into a bottle of liquid that millions of people do smoke every day. Over this documentary, I just want to try and find out why the media is attacking vaping and why they are putting such a bad light on it when it has been proven to be 97% healthier. Okay, so today we are heading over to JT's in Tunbridge Wells. I'm going to be interviewing one of my colleagues over there, and we're going to find out a little bit more about vaping and if she's noticed any difference in the increase of vaping. So let's head over there now.
My name is Christina. I work in a vape shop called JT's in Tunbridge Wells. Well, my opinion on vaping is that it's actually much healthier than smoking. I grew up in Spain in a culture of smoking, and I've seen the detrimental effects it's had on my friends' health, like raspy voices and respiratory issues. And I've been vaping for 4 years and I can't say that I've ever had any issues. If anything, vaping has a positive effect on people, I think, and the media is having a negative effect on vaping. I think that the tobacco companies are very powerful, they move a lot of money, and so it's in their interest that people go for tobacco instead of for vaping as a healthier alternative. So I think there is a lot of misinformation out there. Unfortunately, only after 10 years of medical research can we actually see the effects that it has in the body, and it hasn't been 10 years yet, so there is a lot of hearsay, I think. I have noticed with so many of my customers that vaping is helping them. I have customers that are patients that have been in surgery and they can still vape, that's fine. And I have so many people that suffer from respiratory issues, that get out of breath when they walk, but changing to vaping actually has helped them, and they come and tell us about it, so absolutely.
So it was the day after the interview that I had with Christina, and it's really interesting to find out what she thought about vaping. I really liked how she talked about sort of her Spanish friends, because she is from Spain, and how she's noticed that for the sort of coming years that they've started to get raspy voices, because smoking out in Spain is quite a popular thing to do from a young age. And she sort of was comparing herself to her vaping and not having really any impact at all, even though she's been doing it for 4 years, and then her friends who have smoked as well, and how they're starting to get sort of negative effects from smoking. So it's really, really interesting sort of understanding sort of not only what's happening in England, but also in other countries. So I'm now heading over to Tunbridge, the JT's branch over there, and I'm going to talk to another colleague of mine and find out a little bit more about vaping. I also want to try sort of understand sort of what things the media sources are saying, like some of the negative stuff that they're saying about it.
My name is Charlie and I work in JT's e-cigarette shop in Tunbridge. My opinion on vaping, I think it's a really good thing. It's way better than smoking. I definitely wouldn't go back to it myself. I rate vaping way more than smoking cigarettes, 100%. If anything, it's mainly positive effects that it has on people's health. Obviously you're still going to get sort of kids starting smoking or starting to vape. And I don't think that's a good idea. It's not good for your health if you've never done it before, but if you're replacing smoking with vaping, it's way healthier, way healthier. My opinion on young people vaping, I think if it's going to replace smoking, it can be a good thing. If they're not going to be replacing anything, what's the point in starting it? Because it's just the same as starting smoking again. To stop it myself, obviously in the shop we have quite strict rules. You're not allowed in the shop unless you're 18 and you've got an ID. We will ID you straight away as soon as you come through the shop, because it's our necks on the line, and it's just why do kids want to start vaping, really? It's not cool. Did I used to smoke before I started vaping? Yes, I used to smoke when I was in school. Used to go down the bike sheds, have a couple of ciggies with my mates, spray a bit of the old Lynx on you, make sure you're not smelling for the teachers. Obviously you smell way more than everyone else. I personally have found that probably about 80% of the customers that I've served, it has absolutely helped, if not probably 90, probably a bit more than that. I have had the odd customer where they've come in and said it's not for me, but a lot of it is the willpower, and 99% of the time if they don't want to give up, they're not going to give up. If you're persistent and you want to do it, then it will work for you. My opinions on the media using terms such as popcorn lung, that's the only one I can think of. Personally, I think terms such as popcorn lung, I think it's all a massive ruse brought up by the tobacco companies, just to kind of put people off of vaping. I know there's also a lot of scare of people blowing up or blowing themselves up whilst using vapes. Personally, I think it's all a load of rubbish, really. If you're safe and you know what you're doing and you buy your kits from a reputable shop, then you're not going to get one blow up on you. If you're being irresponsible and you're using old batteries, you charge them in the unit, use mech mods, things like that, that's when you start getting problems. Mech mods are essentially vapes that are made by people that don't know how to do anything electronically at all. So personally, I think a lot of it is scare tactics, but you can never believe what you see on the news, basically. Do I feel that the tobacco companies are using these kind of scare tactics to put people back to smoking? It's a bit of a difficult one, because obviously where do you draw the line between sort of smoking and vaping, when vaping has been proven to be 99% or more than 90% healthier than smoking? I would say if they're trying, then they can try a bit harder, but it's never going to work, is it? It's trying to get people back into smoking. It's just not. It's not cool.
Okay, so I've quickly got college this morning. I'm going to try interview one of my friends over there who goes to college. I also know that he smokes, so I want to understand how long he's sort of been smoking for, if he's noticed any effects from smoking, and if he's ever been influenced by the media to not go to vaping. And then I've got work after college, so I'm going to try interview a customer in Tunbridge Wells and try find his experience from going to smoking to vaping, and sort of what differences he's found, and if he's had any influence by the media to sort of quit vaping or something. So I need to go to college now. I'm going to quickly interview one of my friends over there, and I'm going to go to work.
My name is Cameron Godley. I've been smoking cigarettes for say 3 years. I have noticed some negative impact. I noticed when running, get out of breath easier and quicker, and that it takes longer for me to catch my breath back. I have considered buying a vape. I have had a vape before, and I thought it was quite good, and I used it quite a lot, and it did at one point for like 3 months or so, did make me stop smoking, just vaping. You have seen some negative impact, how apparently because they're still doing tests, so and saying that it could be worse for you, but like it's kind of always that. I wouldn't think it puts me off from vaping because I know that it's just got the nicotine in and there's just some flavour with it, and like with fags it's got the nicotine and then all the harsh chemical.
I've been smoking on and off since I was about 18 years old. Probably stopped. It's been on and off for some time, but I was actually smoking and vaping at one time at work, and I stopped probably about a month, 2 months ago, and I just wanted to go for a healthy alternative. The only thing I've heard about vaping comes mainly from smokers about popcorn lung, which I think is some sort of myth invented by people that don't like vaping. When I was smoking, there was lots of things like the coughing during smoking, the smell, the morning after smoking, when you've been coughing up phlegm and just generally being sounds quite disgusting really in the morning after you've been smoking. There are only 2 main ingredients in vape juice, which is generally oil-based, isn't it? So, not a lot.
So I'm currently at work. I just finished the interview, and what I learned is that he feels that the media is sort of having an impact, and that the people that do smoke are just trying to put people back to vaping by saying stuff about popcorn lungs, and he just feels that it's sort of a myth. Also, my interview with Cameron, he sort of did talk about all the negative effects that he's getting from smoking traditional cigarettes, and he says that he did start vaping, but since he got a bit confused, he's decided to give up vaping, which is something that we do get fairly often with the customers that we do have. So right now I'm just about to finish work, so I'm going to head over and I'm going to interview someone who works at the NHS, and I want to find a little bit more if they're sort of pushing vaping for people who smoke cigarettes, and so what other options they're sort of giving people who want to quit smoking. So yeah, let's head over there right now.
My name is Matthew Corwell. I'm a pharmacy technician at Tunbridge Wells Hospital. Do I feel there's any negative sides to vaping? There is, and the reason why, because the Royal Pharmaceutical Society has advised against pharmacy technicians to advise the use of vapes and e-cigarettes. That is a negative side to me because it worries me to give advice on that, especially with the long-term effects of e-vaping as opposed to other forms of NRT, which I've found in my experience to be a bit more effective. In hospital at the moment we use 2 or 3 types. The first part is while they're in hospital, or is the patch form, the 16-hour patch. We also use, for people, the action of smoking is very important, so we use inhalators in combination with that as and when required. The success rate in hospital is 100%, I think, because obviously people are bedbound in hospital, they're using the patches and stuff, and when they get discharged I'm not too sure about if they go straight back to smoking after. In my experience as a community pharmacy technician, I've always found that the use of the patch in conjunction with an inhalator or gum or lozenges has been very effective. Would I recommend a patient or a customer to use a vape to quit smoking? Because it's not been regulated by the Pharmaceutical Society, I'm a bit loath to do so, only because there's not regulatory, it's not there. The long-term effects of e-vaping have not been, to my knowledge, printed as yet. In my opinion, I'm not sure that people are using a vape for nicotine replacement therapy as a mind to quitting smoking. I think people use it as just like a normal cigarette and just with no intention of quitting, they would just use the vape. For the research I've conducted, I would say that in my opinion, I would say that e-cigarettes are probably better than they obviously have a less harmful toxins in there that smoking tobacco puts into the body. the long-term effects of e-liquids and the other drugs and the inactive ingredients in there over a long period of time, I'm unaware of as yet. I haven't seen a paper, but it still worries me that it hasn't been regulated by the Royal Pharmaceuticals.
So I'm all done with the interview with Matt, and it was really interesting finding out what the NHS are actually doing with vaping. As he said, they were looking into producing a vape for people to use, however it didn't get producing permission to do. So this is the end of the documentary. I have learnt a lot, and I hope you guys have learnt a lot too. I tried to get as much interviews from people who vape, people who smoke, also my colleagues as well, to try and get their opinion on vaping. So I hope you guys found this useful, and yeah, thank you for watching.